flags, raise the flags. Hit them fast, secure the bag. Don't even blink, make them walk the plank. Light them up, let's make them sing. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. On Bucs, yeah, we on. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. The whole field's our red zone. Let me give you 55 reasons why this is our season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, and I will follow you back. And don't adjust your dial. We are not on Thursday. We are on tonight. This is one of the few times I can catch.
It's my fault. You just blame it on me, Gene. It's my fault.
Hey, when KB's not out globetrotting, we want to get him on here as much as we can. Hope
I'll be
everybody's
on a
doing
work trip all week, so I'll be unavailable. So we wanted to make it work.
Yeah, definitely. How you doing? How's everything?
Doing well. How you doing? A lot better on a Victory Monday. I got my steak coming up after this.
Oh man, sounds good. What you get? A ribeye?
I did. I got a. Normally I go New York strip, but today they had a ribeye that looked good, so I went for that. That's
what I'm talking about. That's mine right there, ribeye. Yeah,
it's a thick boy, so it's going to be juicy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Kind of like Ryan Jensen's barbecue, going for a 50 burger.
There we go. Speaking of, what did you think of that game yesterday?
Oh man, we know about the Jameis coaster here in Tampa. I'm not saying Baker necessarily went through a little bit of a roller coaster there, but I think the whole Buccaneers team went on a roller coaster, and I'm happy to come out on the side that we did. That second quarter might be one of the worst second quarters I've ever seen, but 4-2. We move on.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you don't like Todd Bowles, I don't know what to tell you. I don't even really know how to really talk with you about whatever your personal animosity is, because I have never seen, and personally, I've never personally seen a Bucs game where there were 3 interceptions and the Bucs came back and won decisively. And I cannot. I've been racking my brain here this afternoon before we came on. And that was one of the thoughts. I was like, have the Bucs ever played a disastrous quarter or almost? Yeah, I guess it would be a quarter, wouldn't it? It would just and come back and perform the way they did. And the answer to that is I can't think of anything. Can you think of?
No, I mean, like, Jameis would bring us back in games after a bad quarter or two.
What you're talking about, like a 10-point, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't win. Brady, I mean, maybe the Packers game, but remember, we were up so much that the 3 interceptions by Brady on consecutive drives. Rodgers obviously made it a little bit close in the NFC Championship game, but yeah, not to have a distinct lead, then lose the lead, and then just blow someone. I mean, that's literally that. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah. I was frustrated by this. I don't know what it is about the Saints and how the games get out chippy the way they do, but I remember this play that Justice is talking about.
I can talk about this. So he's obviously talking about the Yaya Diaby play. Yeah. But that's A, completely legal. B, if you watch the Saints versus Cowboys game, that's how they took Micah Parsons out of the game. That's their game plan. They have weak offensive line, and you know what? I mean, I think that's tip of your cap. I think the refs are really good about calling that when it is illegal, but it's illegal if it's blindside. You're allowed to cut block. You just have to have really good technique, and I think on that play it was good technique. I'm just happy Diaby wasn't injured, and I think you can see that Diaby wasn't injured, Parsons wasn't injured. That's what you can take from that. Right. I tweeted during the game, and I caught a lot of flack from Saints fans. I thought the Saints were playing a little bit after the whistle, and they eventually got one called on. I think it was a Sean Tucker or Bucky Irving.
It was a Sean Tucker run when he was out of bounds and he shoved him. Yeah.
It was like things like that we saw. I think Kate Otten got dove into when a play was like clearly over. We've seen the videos of Cam Jordan jumping in piles, punching. Like those are things that I
But
would
that's
think
more
are.
Saint-esque, I guess is what you would call it.
But like that's the Saints. But again, I don't think they came out and did anything like the Godwin thing a couple of years ago, what Devin White did to Jameis, or like it wasn't one of those like cheap shoddy, Mike Evans defending Jameis that against Lattimore, that kind of thing. I don't think it was that. I think the players are past that. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to say that a team is dirty because they play a little bit after the whistle. I just didn't. I just thought they were going to get called on something eventually, and they did. And I think they moved forward because I don't remember much after that penalty.
Yeah, this is true. But again, man, that's because I know they would be losing their minds if if the roles were reversed. But again, it's the Saints, and the Saints and the majority of Bucs fans, they have that sort of rivalry, and like kind of like me in Atlanta, it's that kind of rivalry where you just hate it. Hey Jonas, what's going on? Justice, MK, how's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully to hear from you in the chat. Give me your thoughts on the game. But let's start on defense because that had me concerned until it didn't have me concerned, if that makes sense. Because
Zion McCollum,
yes,
Pro Bowl caliber cornerback.
Yeah.
Tyke Smith, Pro Bowl caliber nickelback. Kalijah Cansey, the difference maker.
Suplex man, Suplex City.
Suplex and a sack. I mean, he knows he's not in football shape. He said that. He hasn't practiced or played in a while.
Yeah.
Like Antoine Winfield, first game back. Scoop and score.
Yep.
How many players just let it go or, just pick up the ball and just kind of, bounce around for a couple seconds and hand it to a ref? No. Picked it up and immediately went off. No Saints player really had a chance at him.
Yep, exactly. And it was in New Orleans too. That's the thing. And I guess the overall theme of this here is that Tampa had just gone through something pretty catastrophic. People are still reeling from it. I've got friends that still do not have power right now. I got other friends that, they've lost the roof of their house, and it's life-changing what Tampa experienced, Tampa and down the West Coast. And just watching that game, it made you, I don't know, maybe it's just me, I'm just a homer or whatever, but it made me proud to be a part of, Tampa, and I really don't know how else to describe it. When I wear my Cuban sandwich shirt, I rock my Cuban sandwich shirt around here. It says Tampa on it. It's got the Cuban sandwich. I'm just proud. I've always been proud. But, just seeing how these people have endured and they're bouncing back. The locals, I'll say the locals, not a lot of the transplants are talking about moving back, but the locals, the people that have been here through hurricanes, they've been through this. They've been through the storms and the tropical storms and the tropical depressions, and they keep coming back. They keep bouncing back. And that shows you the resiliency of the state of Florida. I know that we're the brunt of a lot of jokes, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't have it any other way other than, being part of the Bay.
No, I mean, again, from everything that I heard, again, we're not here to bash the Saints. From everything that I heard from everyone who covers the Bucs or attended that game, I think Tones especially was one of them who attended the game. Everyone said that the Saints were super hospitable. Obviously, they understand a lot of what was kind of going on. Honestly, worse than what even this particular hurricane was. And so, I mean, hats off to them. Again, just really happy at the way we played, but it's really nice to, have the Saints be as hospitable as they were to
absolutely.
Tampa Bay community members.
Yeah, and I'm very appreciative. Again, I don't have the hostile relationship with the New Orleans Saints that a lot of Bucs fans do. Mine's with Atlanta. Yeah, just Atlanta or Dallas. And Christmas came early for me because Dallas got the beats put on them too. So I mean,
we haven't been on since that Falcons game, have we, Gene?
Jesus Christ, man. I'm telling you, Tampa better stomp the hell out of. They were at 100% when they beat the Bucs, and the Bucs were without Kalijah Cansey, Antoine Whitfield. They were without a lot of players.
Hey, we got to get out of this Baltimore game. That's going to be a physical game. I wouldn't count on us being healthy, knowing how the injury report is each week. And remember, it's going to be a short week as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's the scariest game out of the next 4 games. That is the scariest.
The Ravens, correct?
The Ravens, yeah.
Okay.
Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That is the scariest game to me.
I
was watching.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Just how physical they are. Just what a.
Well, even team. Then, I think we're gonna honestly handle Henry okay. Henry's obviously playing at a MVP level at the moment. I think we're gonna handle Henry okay, but I mean, we saw how Bo Nix ran against us.
Yeah, that's where I was.
Who wasn't passing really well at that time? How he was running against us. Yeah. It's gonna be Lamar, and then the Zay Flowers reminds me of Roadrunner, where it's just like he's just running in circles, side by side, just around Coyote.
And then
they just run him. They just tell him to run in circles. And
then there's some wide receiver that
5 yards. But
and then there's this wide receiver from Tampa
Nelson.
that I can't think of his name.
Nelson Aguilar.
I'm just playing with you.
I don't know. I mean, he hasn't been doing too much for them, so.
He's been doing a little bit though. He has been. He's been doing it. He's contributing. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
To me, I would say what we saw, it gives me hope. I mean, I am Liam Cohen. I'm not at this point right now in the season. I got one more game before I'm like, okay, this is what this team gonna look. I always say 6 games. I say 6 games.
Gene, we're number 1 in touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I look at Denver, I'm like, I just think that
Denver was just, I think what they did to us, they did to Rodgers the very next week. Like, we're playing a hot Ravens team right now.
Mm-hmm.
We played the Falcons after they were like honestly shitting their pants for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, it's when you play these teams. The Bucs are, going into that Lions game, we're riding on a pretty good high after. I mean, how often do we see the Bucs, other than Ryan Fitzpatrick, come out week 1 and tear the roof off?
Yeah. So Justice is saying the defense is real suspect. I mean, Jake Daniels was doing his thing. I don't know. I don't think I don't think Washington's is offensively as loaded as Tampa is.
Well, I also think that Baltimore also took the foot off the gas. I think they were in just complete control of that game. The game script was like, keep everything in front of you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, good teams look at the AFC North year after year. You can't look at a schedule and say, we're going to beat the Ravens this week, and then we're going to beat the Steelers this week. Hell, Joe Burrow starts off each September 1-4. And you've seen they get to the postseason, and they're the only team that really beats Patrick Mahomes in the postseason, not named the Bucs in the Super Bowl. Like, that's the only teams that they lose to are the Bengals and the Bucs.
So yeah, that's kind of how we'll have to look at that. So I just want to kind of get back, because I do want to talk more about the Ravens in depth, but I do want to kind of go back to the Saints. The Saints have just been a thorn in the sides of the Buccaneers for years.
How many years have we not been able to run? Gene, do you know the number off the top of your head that we ran for?
277
on the dot. 207 without even our starting running back.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that right now. I'm getting on the soapbox here for a minute. Rachaad White is not a bad running back. No. Everybody talks about Rachaad White like he's a horrible running back. And Rachaad White has helped the Bucs win games because he can catch the ball. He knows what his assignment. I've seen him pick up blitzes And look back. I mean, you could go back before Lenny and look at this, the running back room. The Bucs have struggled. They've been on the struggle bus for I don't know how long. Come on. This guy is he's a legitimate running back. He does what he needs to do. I think he's in with a good offensive coordinator that's going to get the most out of him. And we're just 5 going into 6 games into the season. Come on. And
sorry, keep going.
No, I was going to say you may see a 3-headed monster. I don't know.
You're leading right into my point. If I was Liam Cohen right now, Sean Tucker starting the game for me. He's going to be my first quarter running back and my fourth quarter running back. I would start Sean Tucker if you're going to run an obvious passing downs. That's the runner I want in. Bucky Irving is that change of pace guy. You got your thunder and your lightning.
Exactly.
And then you have Rachaad White, who is, again, I wouldn't say any of these guys aren't starters. I think you can come out with either 3 of them in any package. But White, I'm not saying he's even the obvious passing down guy, but he might also be the shotgun run guy. He's going to be the third down run back. When you have 21 personnel, that's the guy I want on the field. Not necessarily not wanting Bucky and Sean Tucker out there together, but I want Rachaad White. He's the tallest, most physical, most likely.
And the speed and space. I say that every week about him. Speed and space is incredible. Just what he can do.
And what we saw with Godwin on that, that one catch where he just broke the one tackle and then was off. That's where Rachaad White made his money last year.
Yeah.
Those are the types of route. I mean, again, you're just in the flat. You just throw it to him. It's one-on-one coverage, and boom, he makes one guy miss and he's off. That's his game. And I think at the end of the day, what we're seeing right now is our man Michael Pless. His number one thing is pass to set up the run.
Yeah.
We did that. And again, there were a couple picks in there, but the biggest thing with Baker with the passing was on first and second down. He's trying to squeeze the ball into these small windows.
Yeah.
You get tips. You get tips at the line of scrimmage. You get tips by the cornerbacks because you can give the Saints a lot of shit. They usually are going to play really tough man coverage. And all it takes is being opportunistic. And what Baker basically did after that was he would take his checkdowns, first and second down, and then he would try to squeeze in a ball on third down or run for the first down or whatever. Be Tom Brady. Live for another down. And then look, how much yards of yak did we get against the Saints? When was the last time we saw a Saints team tackle that poorly in general, much less versus us?
I don't know, man. They look just out of sorts. But I
like that. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, that is dope.
And it's not September anymore.
Yeah, I wish it was. That would have been perfect. So I was listening to somebody was saying that he liked what the Bucs have, but he feels like if the Saints were 100% healthy, it would have been a different game. And I'm sorry, I'm still not sold on Carr. I'm just not.
Do you think Derek Carr's has Derek Carr ever put up 50 before, even in his MVP caliber season? They would need 52 points.
Yeah, but that would.
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is true.
And also, like Spencer Rattler missed reads, but what rookie quarterback isn't going to miss reads? He played relatively well.
I thought he had a great game.
He forced the interception to Tyke Smith, and then freaking the other interception was Zion McCollum. Yeah, the pass might have been a little underthrown, but Zion McCollum is known for A, his athleticism, and B, his hands. He fingertip caught that while falling backwards. Like, you tip your cap. Like, again, that's just how it works in the NFL. Just as, like, you got to tip your cap for, I think it was Alontae Taylor who tipped that pass that went for an interception for the second one. Like, those are just players making plays.
Yeah.
But back to the running game, I mean, hell, Sterling Shepard had a 24-yard run with a convoy in front of him. Baker Mayfield on that Bucky Irving stiff arm from hell and then reversed the field was blocking out there for him.
Yeah, he was.
I don't agree with it, but, like, again, I'm just happy Baker's healthy after taking that shot. Yeah. But if all 11 guys were, even an injured Mike was participating in the run game.
Yeah.
That's
how you win games. how is he? Is that a serious injury?
We'll see. I mean, I'm guessing it's like a hammy or an ankle or something.
Yeah, soft tissue.
But I mean, he's on pace for 860. But we've like seen this before with Mike. All it takes is one of his 200-yard games. Again, he was basically at 1,000 through like 12 weeks last year. So like we know Baker can find him, but he's also the guy being taken away, which is why Godwin is so wide open. Why Godwin has the stats that he has. And I mean, we know Mike's the red zone guy. Well, why is Godwin getting all the red zone targets and touchdowns? Because they're taking Mike Evans away.
Exactly. And it's pick your poison, because eventually what's going to happen, they're going to adjust. They're going to level set. And then Mike will get his opportunities. But I've been saying this all year since the beginning of the year. When I saw Chris Godwin the last 3 games of the season last year, saw him in the playoffs, I'm like, Chris Godwin's back. He's back. And that's why I was so bullish on him going into the season. I'm like, this guy's back. The mental's gone away. He can get in there. He can focus on the game and not, worry about that injury or anything like that. He can play his game like what we've seen him do. And that's what he's done. His hands have gotten a lot sure-handed than what we saw last year even. And this just gives me hope that, man, their defenses are going to key in on him now. And that's going to open it up for your first and third wide receivers as well.
Hey, the last receiver that Liam McCohen was coaching for in the NFL in this exact offense won the Triple Crown. So going into the season, I told everyone on this podcast, Chris Godwin's breakout year. Liam Cohen is going to focus on this. And you know what? Yeah, if teams start taking away Chris Godwin, that's when Cade Otton shows up. That's when Mike Evans. Remember, and look at all of the teams that we're playing on our schedule. So we obviously know we're playing the Ravens. They're going to play super aggressive, but also, not going to get beat over the top. We're going to play the Falcons, who have 2 great safeties in the back. You got the Chiefs, who are going to play great bump and run coverage.
Right.
The 49ers play a lot of zone. We'll get there. After the bye, Mike Evans can have a great game against the Giants. Mike Evans can have a great game against the Panthers twice. Mike Evans can have a great game against the Raiders. Mike Evans throws up 100 yards in each of those 3-4 games. Mike Evans is getting 1,000 yards. So he's in the toughest part of the schedule for good defensive teams, good aggressive defense. I mean, we're gonna say whatever we want about the Saints in our rivalry or in division. They're gonna always play us tough.
Yeah, always.
That's why the tackling was just so ridiculous last night or yesterday, just because it's just so unlike them. Even when we've beaten them, they beat us to a pulp. You feel it the next day.
Yeah, it just didn't feel as physical as what we played in recent.
So what happens when you got an older roster? You lack the talent that you used to have.
Yeah. And
your best players can't. Cam Jordan was so lucky that ball got tipped and then fell right into his hands. Gene, he was getting stonewalled in pass coverage when that pass was tipped. He was on a losing rep. I didn't think he even logged a single pressure in yesterday's game. I don't think he has a sack on the season. That's their best defensive player.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just again, you saw him celebrating over there. I was kind of pissed at that.
He got Marshawn Lattimore's face. That's now a meme.
Oh yeah, I've got that. I actually put that in the chat.
The Saints were down 2 starting offensive linemen. One of them, we already know Trevor Penning's just not good. A rookie left tackle. Derek Carr's out. Chris Olave, and I'm sorry, that's not a helmet-to-helmet hit. That's unfortunate. If that happened to Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, they would not be complaining. It's a bang-bang play. I hope Chris Olave is okay. I truly do.
I've been paying attention to the concussions and stuff.
He's
had 3 in his career.
I think 1 in college and then 3 in the NFL.
Yeah. Man, that's just scary to me. I look at Tua Tagovailoa and then Luke Kuechly and what Luke Kuechly went through, man. And then there was an interview with Warren Sapp where Warren Sapp's can't remember stuff. And it's scary to me. And I don't know how else you can really fix this. People are still getting hurt on kickoffs. I mean, it's there. There's I don't know. I don't know what you can really do. It's just a violent game, and that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're a big wrestling guy, and I know guys like Stone Cold don't believe in it. But at the end of the day, I mean, these players this is why they, make the money that they do. The NFL stands for not for long.
Mhm.
And this is what these guys know and love. And no, I mean, we hear about all the time, like the Cameron Brates of the world. Oh, Harvard graduate could have, a six-figure job, but they still play the game for 5 to 10 years if they can.
Yeah.
They know what they're signing up for. I just hope that with all the research, we saw Gadecki wearing the I don't know what to call it, the gold cap or whatever.
What do they call those?
Guardian cap.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Like I just hope stuff like that helps. Just again, it's just super unfortunate, but I hope Chris Olave is okay. Just as much as I read that Rashid Shaheed got hurt. They have a couple players that I like watching. I just don't think Chris Olave is the best fit for Derek Carr. He obviously doesn't like him, but if you put Chris Olave on 25 other rosters, he's a bona fide, if not wide receiver 1, high end wide receiver 2.
I mean, and again, I'm just saying, what if, when you look around the division, he would be a perfect fit in Carolina.
I think he's also better than Drake London. I would take him over the Falcons receivers. So again, I hate seeing players in general, but especially good players get hurt. I was honestly taking away, obviously, the game against the Bucs. I was hoping Spencer Rattler could unlock him, and obviously that happened on like his second pass of the game. So we don't really know what that'll look like. Again, the Saints were just as beat up as us. They had just as bad of an injury report as we did.
Yeah.
We just obviously got a little bit more healthy with the extended bye, and then the long bye, and then they had the short week. So it was, again, when do you play teams is super important. We don't see the Saints until the end of the year. Is Dennis Allen even going to be the coach then?
Yeah, I don't
know.
know.
Is Dave Canales even going to be the head coach of the Panthers? We haven't even played them yet.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Carolina is just a coin flip. They've got
they were hanging with the Falcons for a little bit, but that's the thing is we know that owner. How long is just hanging around with a team for a half going to be enough when they gave the keys to the GM who wasn't deserving? And I love Dave Canales. I think he could be a great coach one day, but he didn't have he didn't have a coaching tree. He took all of the bad coaches from our staff because he doesn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And look how much better our offensive line is without those coaches. The play caller, because we know Dave Canales calls the plays, but who is the people, the run game coordinator, the pass game coordinator? Both of them are gone. And with the Panthers, you take all of those resources and you see, again, with Bryce Young, everything that was struggling. And then you see Baker Mayfield, it was, okay, we went to a whole nother level.
Yep.
That tells me Cohen knows the right people, got the right people. We've seen all of these young guys just take those next steps. Honestly, I think, oh my God, what's the backup center's name? Oh my God. Robert Hainsey did okay.
Yeah.
I would love to see Graham Barton at left guard. I think Ben Bredesen.
You really think so? You think that's a natural spot for him? Ben
Bredesen's just not good. He had 2 penalties. One, the unsportsmanlike. Without diving really deep into the film, I don't remember exactly what happened there. I more remember what happened with Sterling Shepard than what happened with Ben Bredesen, but he had another hold in there. He's just the one guy I'm worried about. Like when we play the Chiefs, Chris Jones is going to be lined up against him every single snap.
Yep. That's going to be crazy.
Every third down is Brent Bredesen. You know what they're going to do? They're going to have 5 guys on the right side of the line of scrimmage, so you can't slide his way. You're going to have one-on-one. And I love Rashad Wright. He's great in pass protection if he's healthy by that game. But we saw what happens when running backs try to guard Vita Vea. Chris Jones is going to run through him.
Yep, there you go. So last year, this time for Chris Godwin, he had a 51 yards one game, 58, 32, and then he had 114 and 77. That was last year. And look at compare it to now, up to now.
Chris Godwin, I think, is one of the leaders in receiving yards. Hold on.
Oh yeah, he's got 200-yard games already. I mean,
I think in receiving yards. Nico Collins was running away with it before he got hurt. Jamar Chase is 50 yards ahead of him, but Godwin has 50 yards over Metcalf and CeeDee Lamb for the 3 spot.
Exactly. And again, all this can change. I'm just happy to see him back in form, and it's just good to see that. But I do want to talk about, Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker and Rashad White a little bit more. Just what we saw from them. When was the last time we had running backs that could do that to the New Orleans Saints, that could just run the way they run and just
against maybe the University of Georgia defense, let alone especially the Saints.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just crazy to me that
coaching matters.
Yes.
Putting players in the right position. I think Josh Capo, tweeted this out, basically how much we ran gap in the first 3 weeks versus the past 3 weeks. We've ran outside zone or zone in general the exact same amount the first 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks, we kept the same amount of outside zone, almost double gap, and you've seen our run progression go like this, and then boom, obviously.
And the offensive line that the Bucs have is built for the run, from what I've seen, and that's, I mean, I've seen these guys getting up to the second level and on a consistently getting up to the second level, and and tell me if I'm wrong here, but it's been a while since we've seen that on a consistent basis.
Well, the run, like for Tristan Wirfs specifically, everyone talks about how amazing Tristan Wirfs is. The only knock anyone had ever thrown out about Tristan Wirfs is they thought that he wasn't a great run blocker because of our lack of success. And you know what? It was a valid argument, because what we would do is we'd run it up the gut, we'd run duo. And Tristan Wirfs, you're not going to get any positives when essentially you're just trying to block the inside and you have an outside guy, so you're just going to take one step, block, whatever. Tristan Wirfs wasn't pulling. Tristan Wirfs wasn't, doing anything, drive blocking a guy straight in front of him. That just wasn't what was going on. Now he's got a little bit more to do. And now his PFF grade, because he's always in the high 80s, low 90s in pass blocking, but he was always in the 60s in run blocking.
Right.
Now, you could honestly make the argument his pass blocking and his run grades are pretty similar. And I'm not saying PFF's the greatest thing ever or whatever, but
what a lot of people fail to realize, you take PFF and you put it with game film and it gives you a clearer picture. You can't just use one and say this is the end all be all, and then you don't see the intangibles that you should see on film. You need both of them if you're going to do this accurately. You can't use one or the other. You really should be using both of them in order to get an accurate picture.
I mean, I don't know how much, the tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know how much PFF makes, but they're a data company. Yeah. The grades aren't what PFF is. What PFF grades are a subscription model for you and me, non-NFL teams, to purchase, to be able to get more insight. But what PFF is they are a data company that the NFL purchases information from them, because you can only have so many people look at so many things, and you can use their data to, save some time on your work or scouting opponents.
Right. And again, when you're using both of them, it's pretty accurate. I did have a subscription. I'll let it lapse this year. I'll probably pick it back up here pretty soon, but I've always enjoyed it. It's interesting to me what you can kind of unlock with offensive linemen that you thought weren't really doing anything, and then you look at their grade and you go back and watch them again, and you're like, oh, okay, I totally missed that. Because as the game's happening real time, you can't focus on everything along that line. You kind of have to go back and watch it. So
if you want to save some money, talk to the chat or our group chat, Gene. Apparently there's some type of NFL Plus premium service that's included now that I haven't dove into it too much, but Evan, Josh, all of them seem to love it.
Okay. Yeah, because I usually get that too for the all 22, but I just haven't done it this year because just haven't done it. But I'll get back into it, man. It's just exciting to kind of see where we are. Yep. Well, before we move away from the Saints game, any final thoughts? Punting, kicking, special teams, any worries, concerns, complaints?
Jake Camarda wasn't great, but I think his best punt of the day was the one where there was absolutely zero coverage, and bye Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah.
Chase McLaughlin still money McLaughlin. Yeah. But yeah, our unit's still bad, very bad, real bad.
That's always been consistent.
I think they're coached better.
Yeah.
I think Keith Armstrong addition by subtraction just as much as Devin White is.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, has he gotten picked up yet? Wow. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Unbelievable. Yeah. Okay. So, Baltimore Ravens coming up. Big time game.
Hottest team in football. We know the Bucs put up 51 in New Orleans, but I also know another offensive coordinator who threw up 51 or 50 plus in New Orleans. Todd freaking Monken. And now he's got Lamar Jackson, the beast Derrick Henry.
That's unfair. That's just unfair. Derrick Henry just
Isaiah Likely. Mark Andrews is now doing something. We're not trading for Mark Andrews, anyone, but Mark Andrews is doing something now.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a team. Like when you play the Saints, hey, Rashid Shaheed can't be deep.
Yeah.
You're playing Jamar Chase, contain him, throw a second guy over, or in the red zone, target T. Higgins because he's probably going to get a jump ball the same way Mike Evans would. When you play the Falcons, don't give up the middle of the field. The Ravens can do pretty much anything that they want. I mean, Nelson Aguilar had a 25-yard reception. He's basically wide receiver 4 for them. Yeah. Isaiah Likely, an inch away from basically single-handedly with a separated shoulder beating the Chiefs. Derrick Henry is over 100. He's on pace for 2,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, well, they're like first in the NFL in rushing.
And then you have the backup running back, Justice Hill, is the third down back.
Uh-huh.
Not an easy guy to tackle. And then you look at the defense. Kyle Van Noy is basically playing at a defensive player of the year level right now. Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton. Everyone says, he's a better safety than Antoine Winfield. This is a team top to bottom you don't mess with. And we know the Bucs can't contain a quarterback that can rush, and Lamar's the best at it.
Yeah, he is. And that's the part that scares me. That's what scared me about Rattler. When I was talking about it last week, I was like, that's a guy that concerns me because he can make plays with his legs, and we kind of saw that. And I believe the Bucs are athletic enough to handle running quarterbacks, but this guy is just on another level. He's not your average.
KJ Britt's worst nightmare.
Yes. This is why, this is where you're going to miss like a Servassier Dennis or, some of your other more athletic linebackers.
I want to see dime, Gene. But you know why you can't play dime? Derrick Henry.
Yep. Gouge. You will get gouged if you do that. So I don't know how you handle that.
Oh, and then you know what? You stop them. You stop them at the 45, right? Out rocks Justin Tucker. 60 yards basically guaranteed. Ties the record for the 66-yarder. I mean, even when you stop them, do you stop them?
No, you really don't. No. So
you just gotta limit them to threes, opportunistic. Maybe I think we can hold Henry under 100 yards. I truly think that. From a betting standpoint, I know you probably saw I posted. Basically, I saw a really good line on the Bucs versus the Saints. It was too juicy. We were underdogs. It was posted like right as Derek Carr got injured. I was like, okay, I'm gonna throw a Hail Mary here, and it worked out. There's only 3 things I'm betting on this game. Lamar's rushing yards. Whatever the line is, it could be 120. That's not going to be the line. It's going to be like 40 or 50. Gene, it's an automatic over. I'm going to bet Chris Godwin receiving yards, probably like 60. I'm going to bet that over. And Baker Mayfield, interception, I'm sorry to say. I'm going to do it because these guys can rush the passer. Tristan Wirfs, I'm not worried about.
It's the other side.
Mbadbuke, problem. Kyle Van Noy,
problem.
Lukadeki's barely been back.
Yeah.
Problem. Kyle Hamilton blitzing, problem.
They are physical. They are like super physical. Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. But again, if the Bucs can run in a game like this, amazing.
I think, and this is just, I know this sounds cliche. If the Bucs can keep it close going into the 4th, I say they do have a chance of winning this game.
And if they do that, Gene, this team can compete with anyone.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm more scared of this team than I am the Chiefs, just because the Chiefs lack weapons, and Travis Kelce isn't the Travis Kelce of old right now.
No, I noticed that about him. Is he like injured or something?
No, I think it's just, every player hits that age. We saw it with Gronk, really, in that second year. The first year, Gronk was on his normal Gronk level. That second year, it was just like something was different. Like, he was good in the run game, but, like, as a pass catcher, it's just, old, beat up. Like,
you know what this reminds me? You remember Brent Grimes? Brent Grimes was good, and then one game he came back and he was just like, "Oh, this is the guy."
It was the cake that his wife gave him on his birthday. That was the
probably so.
Yo, that girl was kinky.
Yeah, she was wild. I still follow her. She's entertaining to me. She always has been. I actually met her. She's mad cool. She really is. So most of Tampa hated her, but I ain't never had any problems.
I think people in Tampa hated her because she openly came out and was like, my husband wasn't paid like the #1 corner that I think he is, so he just basically gave up, which the film kind of backs that up, making business decisions. And then across from him is Vernon Hargraves. Recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
But I think that's why mostly people don't like her.
Yeah, I understand. That's all in the past. I mean, it's all subjective too. I mean, there are ex-Bucs players I cannot stand at all, regardless of how endearing they are to other people. There are players I can't stand for reasons that I've put out there before. I'm not going to beat a dead horse on that, but I understand there are going to be players that just some Bucs fans don't like. Hey, I don't like you for whatever reason. It's just crazy.
Well, Rock 813, I'll tell you this. If we get, I was going to say 3. If we get 4 sacks on Lamar, we win the game. I just don't think that's going to happen.
You really think? Wow, I don't know. This team.
You know why getting 3 sacks or 3 or 4 sacks on Lamar is just because he's not in his environment then.
Right. So, because he's uncomfortable at that point. When he does get hit,
probably not scrambling as much. He's throwing the ball probably inaccurate.
And what was interesting to me, because I watched the Washington game, he stayed in the pocket quite a bit, but his offensive line kept him upright. So,
they have arguably the best center in the NFL, a top 5 left tackle. And then the other 3 guys. I mean, I think if you're going to win this game, it's going to be whoever is on the right. So Vita Vea or Kalijah Cansey or heck, even a Logan Hall, who's still tied for the league in sacks or the lead with sacks for us, against Daniel Faalele. Basically, that was the matchup Chris Jones was exposing. Basically that right side of the line. So that's why, again, if you can keep Lamar from getting out, not even just necessarily getting outside the pocket because he's going to, but getting him to see ghosts, be a little trigger happy. We've seen Lamar overshoot deep balls like that. It's those types of plays where they don't hit that 40-yard down pass, where he doesn't scramble for 40 yards. Those are the plays, the explosives. I think the Bucs are going to be good maintaining them 20-20. Like the Ravens are going to get theirs. They're going to get yards. It's what happens in the red zone and how many explosives do you give up that shoot yourself in the foot that make it hard to overcome.
And I'm really hoping that the Ravens are overlooking the Bucs just based on their experience with them.
That's the thing. The Harbaughs every game. The Chargers, they're not going to beat, like, they're not the most talented team. Their best player, Joey Bosa, is never playing because he's hurt. Khalil Mack's not the same player that he once was. They traded Keenan Allen away. Like, they don't have talent. Justin Herbert is hurt and not playing that well.
No, he's not.
Still having a winning record because the Harbaughs are really good at those minute details. The details that we as Bucs fans don't like about Todd Bowles, game management, certain situations, calling timeouts, and like, why are we taking delay of game penalties inside the 20 in the first half?
Yeah, it should not.
Like why? Call a timeout. We had 2 that we took into the half.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of, and I still am of the mindset. I know I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I think Todd Bowles thinks that he can bank these and take them into the next game.
I mean, the film checks out, Gene.
Emily says,
I mean, it's just like, it's things like the Harbaughs. Every one of those details is super calculated against the Chiefs. If Isaiah Likely's foot is in, they are going for 2, and they have Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And Lamar. I'm willing to throw. I would have thrown all my money on them getting that.
Push it all on,
And you know what? If they didn't get it, I would have lived with it because they just do everything the right way.
Are they the team to dethrone the Chiefs? I mean,
they can't
just
beat
wait
them in the postseason. Like they can't.
Just the way they play, but the way they're built right now. When was the last time the Ravens have had a Derrick Henry in their backfield?
That's true, and I think they had a really poor game plan week 1. I'll give you that, Gene. The only problem with the Chiefs is when the Chiefs are in the postseason. We saw this, really even in the 2020 season. They just get out to a lead, and then they bleed that clock. Chris Jones makes that 1 sack. Their cornerbacks are holding for days. They're playing like that Seattle Legion of Boom.
Boom.
They do not allow you to. It's remember the Titans, the defensive coordinator. I don't want them to gain another yard. Like, they could be up 10 points, 20 points, 50 points. They're playing press man coverage, and they are bringing the house.
And that's what I say.
They're Dan Campbell basically on defense.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Man.
Prayers to you, man.
Yeah, prayers to him, man. You know what? He is an incredible athlete. I'm not going to say a football player. I'm just going to say an athlete, just how freakish he really is. And I don't think he's ever really gotten the credit he deserves in the NFL just for what he can do. I mean, that guy he's a freak.
Can I say one thing about Aiden Hutchinson, but know everyone that I love him? And I think I think the Lions were lucky that he fell to 2. I think he was going to be a great prospect. I still think he's going to be a great player. He's going to probably find a way to get past this injury. But Gene, he was destroying the NFL this year, right? Yeah. How many games this year do you think he played against the starting tackle?
Ooh, good question. 0.
He had the 4 sacks against Schooley.
Yeah.
He had the 11 pressures against Schooley. You know how many pressures he had against Wirfs?
0.
When he lines up against the non-starting, because that's what he is. It's what the NFL is. You find the weakest offensive lineman, you throw your stud against them. Like, I'm not saying anything wrong with that strategy, or not saying, he's not as good as TJ Watt or whatever. Like, Aiden Hutchinson's a top 5 edge player, but he was having those insane statistics. They were just against backups, but you can't take the stats away from the player. Like, Michael Strahan still has the most sacks in the season, but is he even talked in like the top 10 of edge rushers of all time?
He was in the right place at the right time.
You can't take the sacks and production away from people just as much as you can't take away Baker Mayfield or Sean Tucker's, basically 80 of his yards came in the fourth quarter in the last 8 minutes. Like, you can't take that away from Sean Tucker, but like the reality is the game is basically over.
Yeah. And I want to get back to this question. Emily, shout out to you and all the hard work you do. Nurses are the best. I appreciate you. But she was saying I'm a big I'm a big fan of Rachaad White. How do we go back to him after what we saw from number 7, number 44? Again, this is a long season. You're going to see all of them. And I mean, that's the end of it right there. I mean, I don't really know how else to really put it. Regardless of, what you think of any of the running backs, I think the Bucs have a luxury right at this point right now, just having all these running backs. And if one of them goes down, I don't think you're going to really miss a beat. So just the emergence of Tucker, I am so happy. I was, pleasantly surprised with what he can do. He's got nice hands, which I underestimated his hands. He's got really nice hands. And, Baker, shout out, props to Baker, being able to put the ball in his hands and letting him, from there do his thing. So I'm excited. And Emily, in my opinion, you're going to see all three of them at some point or another throughout the season. And I'm just happy that the Bucs have a late bye week to get them positioned to make a playoff run, because I'm very bullish on Tampa right now making it to the playoffs. This is going to be a huge measuring stick these next 4 games. You've heard me say that, but I think this will bode well for the Bucs if they can get some wins out of this murderer's row of teams and come away with minimal injuries and kind of position themselves to be healthy going into the bye. I think it's going to be great for them.
Yeah.
So we talked about that.
Jackson. Well, if they do, they win. But that's a tough task.
Yeah. And what's interesting? The Ravens always they always draft in the trenches. They're always looking at the trenches. Offensive line, defensive line. They consistently do this. And I think that was one of my arguments, I would say from 06 to before Jason Light got here. The Bucs they were kind of rudderless. They would get an offensive lineman here, they get a defensive lineman here. There was no clear direction or building blocks on what they wanted to do. And you could look at the Ravens, and I'm going back to the last time the Ravens won a Super Bowl, and even before that, they've always addressed the trenches. That's always been paramount. And then you can kind of build around that. You can get a quarterback like they had with Joe Flacco, and you can get a wide receiver who can do a little bit, but your defensive line is going to keep the other team at bay, and you just want a quarterback that's not going to ruin the game for you. And that's just been their formula for I don't know how long, probably since they moved to Baltimore.
Well, that's the only criticism you can have of them is they drafted Hollywood Brown, so they missed technically on receiving weapons. But every year, like you said, they are to me, how when you play fantasy, there's the auto draft thing where it's it takes the highest ranked player for you. Yeah. Every year, if you look at the consensus best prospects, and there's I think Arif Hassan who keeps a tabloid of all of the experts out there who say this is 1 through 200, these are the best prospects. Every year you see the Ravens, it's literally best player available. I don't care if they're center Tyler Linderbaum. I don't care if they're Haloli Nata. I don't care if they're blindside Michael Orr. It's just I'm just going to take the best player. Kyle Hamilton. Everyone freaked out about his slow 40.
But you have to have a good core. You have to have a good core of players to be able to do that year after year and make it work. And again, that's what they've done, whether it's been sparingly in free agency, whether it's been the draft. They've always had a core player. They've had core personnel that you can build around, and that gives them the ability to get best player available. And, I don't want to sound like a homer, but the Bucs were getting close to that, to where they can say, you know what, the best player available, I think that's what we want to do. It hasn't been like we've been overreaching to pick somebody because it's kind of a need, but he may turn into something. No, it's been, we've gotten this guy because this guy is good. He's going to fit a certain position, and we can run with him.
I mean, it's the light. They basically have the light free agency policy too. Like, we're not going out and spending $50 million, but you know what we're going to do? Jordan Whitehead. We're going to get a guy like that. We're going to trade for, if you're ever going to trade for a Jason Pierre-Paul. Like, those are the types of moves the Ravens, and I think it works out because the Harbaugh is a special teams coach by nature. It's just like, just give me the talent. I'm used to making, chicken salad out of chicken, what.
Yeah.
And like that, you just give me the talent and we'll figure it out. Like, we have Greg Roman, or previously, like, whoever our defensive coordinator is, we're just going to take that talent. We're going to play a lot of zone or man just based on whoever our coordinator is and what they see in the talent. Offensively, even before when they had Joe Flacco, it was just like, hey, like, this is what we are. This is, what Anquan Bolden. Like, we're just going to target the slot. That's going to be our offense, you know? Like, have a speed demon that you can hit deep. That returner, I forgot his name, returned a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Like, you have those types of guys. Like, again, every year, the Ravens, the Steelers, they're the most physical teams.
Yep.
Remember, the rest of the NFC South doesn't have to play this team either. This is our bonus for winning the division. Exactly. So, like, that's why, again, the Bucs were seen as having the hardest schedule. That's why everyone wrote the Falcons in. They're like, oh, the Saints are just going to be number 2 because they have an easier schedule than, like, the Bucs. And also they thought Carr was better and all that fun stuff. They still thought Carr was better through week 2, but we saw how that works out. But, yeah, it's just like, you look at this roster, they're not going to mess up on special teams. Know their special teams are going to make plays. Their defense is opportunistic. Their offense is not going to play losing football. Never will you see the Ravens do what we did with those penalties on that one drive versus the Saints.
Yeah, they're fundamentally sound.
The false start penalties, when we played them last year at home, weren't there. Those stupid penalties where you're, I'm sorry, Sterling Shepard, but like when you run a slant, when you're trying to be the pick player, you don't box out like it's a basketball game. Like, you just run your slant through someone's chest.
Exactly.
Like, those are the things the Ravens aren't going to do. They might not score more than 17 points in this game, but they're going to have no turnovers. They're going to make you work the ball up the field and hold you to field goals. Like, that's their MO. I think the key to victory is, obviously pressure Lamar, but whoever's matched up against Daniel Falele can't lose. Yeah, Daniel Falele, to those who don't know, he was a Minnesota prospect, was like 400 pounds in college. And so mobility, for instance, has always been an issue for him. He was a right tackle. The Ravens drafted him in like the 2nd or 3rd round, moved him into guard. It was just like, you're a huge-ass body, but you put like a Kalijah Kancey against him. If he doesn't get swallowed up by the block, Kalijah Kancey is going to be by him in half a second.
Exactly.
Like, again, that's why having him back is so important. Vita Vea to collapse the center. The edge is JTS Diaby. You can't let this guy outside of the pocket.
That's
because if he does, Levante is 5 years old, and AJ Britt's slow. Like, it ain't gonna work. Yeah. And then, you want to go dime? You want to get KJ Britt off the field? Come in, Henry.
Yep.
I love Tyke Smith. I love Antoine Winfield Jr. I love Jordan Whitehead, but Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry for
That's a different animal right there. And I think, just thinking like Todd Bowles, I'm thinking they're going to address the run. I mean, it's you kind of pick your poison with Lamar Jackson. It's like, you get in and stop the run, but, then you've got to worry about him getting out of the pocket because he's so mobile. I mean, I don't know I really don't know how you defend against that. I mean, how do you scheme against that?
It's going to be a lot of cover 3, and what's going to happen is Zay Flowers is going to, if the Bucs let's just say in the hypothetical, the Bucs tackle well, Zay Flowers is going to have about 15 catches for like 70 yards. If the Bucs tackle well, because what they're going to say is, we're going to back off of you. We're going to have 8 in the box, and we're going to say, hey, like, we're not going to get beat deep against Zay Flowers. We're just going to let him run his little stops, and then you just got to tackle. Zion McCollum got to tackle. Tyreek Thunderberg got to tackle.
Yeah.
Tyreek Thunderberg, the Bucs play sides.
Yeah.
Whatever side that is, right or left, I forgot which off the top of my head, but whatever Tyreek Thunderberg side is, Todd Monken's going to attack it.
Yeah, I agree. I see this coming. Yeah, the Bucs had 12 penalties.
They were the leaders in penalties and penalty yardage for least amount before the game.
Yep. Until that game, it just blew up. Well, New Orleans had 7. But I think New Orleans penalties were more impactful because of where they occurred.
I don't remember a lot of the New Orleans penalties off the top of my head, so you're probably right. I don't remember.
But anyway. Well, dude, I cannot believe it's been an hour. We've been here chopping it up, man. So, hey, have you seen Penguin? Have you started watching?
Yes. I'm up to date as of last night's episode.
Well, I got to get caught up.
Bro,
I think I'm like 3 episodes behind.
Penguins, obviously, Colin Farrell's amazing. The show.
Oh, he is. I know.
But the show is everything is great. The chick who's the mother in How I Met Your Mother, bro. Sophia, whatever not Corleone, whatever, Falcone. Oh my God. That chick is the 2 Emmys are already decided between Colin Farrell and her.
Exactly.
Bro, they're so good. Their chemistry.
It's well written. It's so well written too.
I think it's honestly season 1. I would put up with the best seasons of Game of Thrones. Storytelling, setting up the world, setting up these characters, payoffs for these characters,
and then they allude to certain other Gothamites as well.
But it's not like that Gotham show where it's like, oh, here's Poison Ivy, we have to weave her in. Oh, we have to weave the Joker into the story, but not call him the Joker. They're just this is what it is.
Oh, and
we're setting up. It's the best. There's nods, at least in the first episode, to The Godfather, to what's the Martin Scorsese one? Oh my God, Goodfellas. The Sopranos, especially, obviously HBO, but oh man, Gene, catch up on it. It's so good.
I'm working on it tonight. That's gonna be.
You're gonna watch them over Aaron Rodgers in the return game from tearing his Achilles after bringing in the.
Dude, I hate Aaron Rodgers. I swear.
So do I. But if he's gonna actually play well, if he doesn't do well in this game after Robert Saleh's firing and basically it's his team now, he's the. What's that movie with Tom Hanks, Captain Phillips? I'm the captain now. That's Aaron Rodgers right now.
I you know what? I used to feel sorry for him, man, because he just had a bunch of bad breaks. That guy's kind of a scumbag, though, to be honest. I don't care about his political beliefs or anything like that. I'm not saying that. The guy is just a jerk. I like Saleh. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think that Aaron Rodgers was a good fit for coming to New York. I don't know. I'm responding to Shooter here.
What, saying F you?
That guy's a jerk. Hey, did you see his cartoon?
No.
He did a cartoon for the Saints game where Vita Vea was destroying. He was like Godzilla, destroying the. Pretty much, he destroyed New Orleans. It was just kind of funny. I liked it.
Good. I'll look out for it.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and jump out of here. What are your final thoughts, man?
Don't play like quarters 1, 3, and 4. Just in general. You're going to mess up. Just don't let it be colossal like quarter 2. Just play like that the rest of the season. You don't have to be perfect. Just don't fully collapse like that.
Yeah.
I think that Thunder don't go full R-word. Don't
but if you think about it, we haven't really had a quarterback like Baker Mayfield who's had the 3 interceptions and he bounced back from it monumentally.
Well, Jameis Winston had 30 interceptions and 5,000 yards, and Baker's not going to have those numbers.
But he told you he was cooking. What did he say? I forgot what he said. He said something similar to that.
Who, Jameis?
Yeah, Jameis. When he was questioned about the interceptions and stuff.
Yeah, he said check your sheet.
Yeah. Yeah. Now
Because
he's
it was
over
about
it.
the yards and the touchdowns.
Yeah. Now he's in Cleveland. We'll figure.
Well, did you see before we hop off? Did you see the Browns coach Stefanski?
Yeah.
Yeah. Watson gives us the best chance to. There's been how many quarterbacks the past 2 years just cycling in and out? Watson has literally been the worst quarterback statistically. PFF, EPA, you name it. It hasn't gotten worse. And we all have our opinions about Jameis, mind you.
Yeah.
Mind you. The Browns, who have a good team around Watson, you don't tell me Jameis can't win 9 games? You won 8 with us. Like,
Yeah.
no
I don't
offense
know,
to
man.
those teams, but like,
I think they're still reeling from letting Baker Mayfield
no,
get
that's
away.
the fans though. Stefan, I mean, they made that decision. That's a ownership, GM, and head coach signed off on that.
That's just crazy. And he was injured, and he was playing injured, and that's why his productivity looked bad.
Well, I think Baker. I think what happened to Baker is going to probably wind up being the best thing that ever happened to him because how many NFL players who were supposed to be cocky? Obviously, Baker's as cocky as it came. That's why everyone loved him.
Yeah.
How many players like that actually go through the full 180 of getting humbled? I think that's benefited him more than anything mentally because I think he thought he could fit every ball in Cleveland. He had the one great year, one okay year, and then 2 and 1 was injured, obviously.
Geno Smith is the other person that comes to mind.
But Geno Smith didn't get an opportunity until 32.
Yeah, but he got humbled. It took him a while to get humbled. That guy was a jackass from like right out of college.
I don't remember much about him. I just remember him being upset for falling to the second round.
So yeah, so basically, they're showing the camera on him, and he's got this smug look on his face throughout the draft, and his name, they get to the last pick, and he doesn't get picked, and he's upset, and his agent is having to make him come back the second day, and he ended up with the Jets, which is humbling enough in itself. And I think everybody pretty much had him written off. And when he came back, he's played well, and he appreciates the game a whole lot more now than prior to that. That's like Baker has another lease on life. But Tampa will do that to you. Living in Tampa will do that to you every time. Where you
look at a Cuban sandwich, Gene.
That's exactly.
Exactly. A Cuban sandwich and a beer on the beach.
Exactly. And now look at him, man. He's, we thought he was awesome, with the commercials, but the guy is so cool now. And it's just, it's incredible. But anyway, well, we're going to go ahead and roll out of here. And before I leave, fuck you, Texas, and your stupid ass plant the flag on Baker's jersey. You guys can all go get fucked.
Oh, no, I think that's fun.
I just hate Texas, period.
But the thing is, though, they didn't even get like an Oklahoma Mayfield jersey. They got a Bucs jersey.
I thought that was Oklahoma. I thought that was a Sooners jersey.
Really? I thought
I'm pretty sure it was a Sooners jersey. He lives rent free in their head.
I'm looking this up real quick.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Shooter, that would have been better if you would have had Vita take a piss in the dome. That would have been funny. Buccaneer Bruce, my man.
Oh, my computer's going slow.
I will be in your neck of the woods probably the next week, buddy, for work. And maybe I can, get at me on Twitter. If you use Twitter, I don't say X because it's stupid. I'm old school. I'm an old schooler dropping mathematics like a ruler. So.
Oh no, you're right. It is Oklahoma. It looked like a Bucs jersey when I saw it on TV.
Why would you waste money? Why would you waste money doing that? Unless
you said, someone had to spend money on it.
Yeah, exactly. Unless it was super cheap, like the Dallas Cowboys jersey or the Dallas Cowboys T-shirt that I use to wipe my mouth when I eat wings. When we play Dallas, I got it at Goodwill, and that's just it was 50 cents. I'm out. Hey, I spend that on beer. It's not a big deal. So to me, you know, it is what it is. I just hate Texas anyway. They're a bunch of jackasses, and I hope they don't win anything in the postseason. Hope they get stomped out by some SEC team. Hopefully they'll get stomped out before they can get to the playoffs, and it'll just make the season even sweeter for me. Just like put them in like Florida State mode, per se. Anyway, y'all, thank you everybody that was in the chat. Will the Brewer, shout out to you, man. Hey, I'm still waiting for my named beer, man. We can make this happen. It just has to be like one beer, maybe for maybe a season, just so I can keep the can or whatever. But anyway, get at me, Will. We'll make this happen. Buck what you heard beer sounds good to me. But anyway, everybody, have a good night. And look for us next week. Will we be here on Thursday? Will you be traveling on Thursday? Oh, yeah.
I'll be traveling.
Okay. Thursday, me, KB, doing our thing. We never know.
I won't be there Thursday. That's what I'm saying. I'll be traveling.
Oh, he'll be traveling on Thursday. Well, we'll figure it out.
Flight lands at like 7:30, so there's no way I can be there.
Okay. No worries. Not a big deal. We'll make it happen. You will see us sooner or later. We'll be back. And eventually we'll get that whole process smoothed out, and we'll be doing our thing. Anyway, everybody, have a good night. Peace out. Go Bucs.